Ever imagine yourself like at a party and you just casually drop some knowledge about deadly snake venom?
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Well, this deep dive is going to give you exactly the intel you need for that kind of situation. We're checking out this article from Cocktail Party Chemistry,
Okay.
it's a blog, and it's basically like a gold mine if you're looking for these fascinating little science snippets.
Yeah.
This particular piece is all about Mojave Toxin.
Uh-huh.
And I gotta say, this stuff is potent.
Yeah, it's not just potent, it's like specifically targeted.
Oh.
And that's what makes it really interesting from like a scientific perspective.
Okay.
You know, this neurotoxin, it's found in the venom of the Mojave rattlesnake.
Right?
It zeroes in on this thing called neuromuscular transmission.
Okay, so that's basically how our brains tell our muscles what to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, bicep, flex.
Exactly.
And then the message gets delivered through the nerves.
Precisely.
Yeah, Mojave Toxin basically just throws a wrench in that whole communication system.
Oh, wow.
Disrupts the flow of signals between the nerves and the muscles.
So the brain is sending out the signal, but then thanks to this toxin, the message never actually gets to the muscle.
Yeah, you got it. That's the gist.
Wow.
And the result is rapid paralysis.
Oh, wow.
Which is obviously a pretty effective strategy
For sure.
for a rattlesnake that's looking to secure a meal.
Yeah, talk about a powerful evolutionary adaptation, right?
Yeah.
But the article also mentioned that this toxin, even though it's deadly, it's actually a valuable research tool.
Right.
So I'm curious, how can something that causes paralysis, how can that help us understand the nervous system better?
Well, to understand that, we got to kind of zoom into like the cellular level.
Okay.
Mojave Toxin works by interfering with these things called ion channels.
Right.
There's the tiny little gateways
Yeah.
that control the flow of ions or charged particles in and out of nerve cells.
Mhm.
These ions are essentially like the messengers.
Right.
They're carrying these electrical signals that make our nervous system work.
Gotcha. So if these ion channels are like doorways for signals,
Yeah.
Mojave Toxin is basically just slamming those doors shut,
Yeah. Good way to visualize it.
preventing the messages from getting
Yeah.
through.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So by studying exactly how Mojave Toxin interacts with these ion channels,
Mm-hmm.
scientists can gain like a much deeper understanding of how that whole system operates.
Right.
They can figure out which channels are involved in specific functions
Right.
and how disrupting those channels can impact things like muscle movement or pain sensation.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like having this, like a very precise tool to kind of just dissect the intricacies of the nervous system.
Yeah.
But knowing how this toxin works, are there any like practical applications beyond just, basic biology?
Right.
Can we use this knowledge for, say, medical purposes?
That's where it gets really fascinating. The knowledge gained from studying Mojave Toxin, it can potentially lead to the development of new drugs and therapies.
Now, hold on. Are we talking about using a component of this venom to actually treat people?
It might sound kind of counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but that's the potential here.
Wow.
Imagine being able to target specific ion channels
Okay.
involved in conditions like chronic pain
Right.
or epilepsy.
So instead of letting the toxin run rampant and cause paralysis,
Yeah.
scientists can actually isolate the parts that specifically target those ion channels
Right.
and then use them in a controlled way.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of this toxin for good, not letting its dangerous side win out.
Right.
Of course, the research is still ongoing,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of challenges to overcome,
for sure.
but the possibilities are really quite remarkable.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
And the thing is, this isn't just about rattlesnakes.
Right?
There's like a whole world of venomous creatures out there,
For sure.
each with its own unique arsenal of toxins
Yeah.
that target different parts of the body.
Oh, I know. It's like nature's own chemistry lab out there.
Yeah.
Just like coming up with all these crazy concoctions. You got spiders, scorpions, jellyfish.
Yeah.
Like the list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
But if they all have different venoms,
Right.
does that mean they all like work in completely different ways too?
That's where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay.
A lot of these venoms, they actually target the same biological pathways,
Oh, okay.
like those ion channels we were just talking about.
Mhm.
But they do it in these subtly different ways.
So like a scorpion's venom might also mess with neuromuscular transmission,
Right.
but it might use like a slightly different strategy to block those signals.
Exactly. It might bind to a different part of the ion channel.
Oh.
Or it might even target a completely different type of ion channel.
Okay.
And that's incredibly valuable for researchers because it gives them multiple angles to study the same process.
Oh, and I see what you mean. It's like having different tools to probe the same lock.
Yeah.
Each one revealing something unique about its mechanism.
Uh-huh.
So by comparing and contrasting these different venoms,
Right.
scientists can get like a much more comprehensive understanding of how these systems work.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this comparative approach,
Okay.
it's leading to some really exciting discoveries.
Yep.
Researchers are now looking at these venoms not just as tools to understand biology, but as potential sources for new drugs to treat a wide range of conditions.
Wow.
Not just neurological ones.
Wait, are you saying we're talking about turning venom into medicine? That
Yeah.
sounds almost unbelievable.
It might seem counterintuitive, but remember, these toxins have evolved over millions of years
Right?
to be incredibly precise and potent.
Yeah.
They're basically nature's own highly targeted pharmaceuticals.
So instead of trying to like completely neutralize the venom, scientists are isolating specific components
Right.
that could have beneficial effects.
That's the idea. For instance, researchers are investigating compounds found in spider venom for their potential as painkillers.
Okay.
And components of cone snail venom are being studied for their potential to treat cancer and diabetes.
Wow, that's truly mind-blowing. Turning a weapon into a cure.
Yeah,
Nature is full of surprises.
it is.
But I have to ask, are there any ethical concerns surrounding venom research?
Right.
I mean, we're talking about extracting toxins from potentially dangerous creatures, right?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's something that researchers are very mindful of.
Okay.
There are strict guidelines in place to ensure ethical and sustainable sourcing of venoms.
So minimizing the impact on these creatures and their ecosystems is a priority.
Absolutely. A lot of researchers now use techniques that allow them to extract venom without harming the animal.
Oh, wow.
And they're also working to develop synthetic versions of these toxins. So we don't have to rely on wild populations.
That's reassuring to know.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that these creatures are important parts of their ecosystem.
Yeah.
And we don't want to exploit them for research.
Exactly. It's about finding a balance
Yeah.
between scientific advancement and environmental responsibility.
So we've covered the potential for drug development and the ethical considerations involved. But what's next for this field?
Right.
What are some of the big unanswered questions that scientists are still trying to grapple with?
Well, one of the major challenges is understanding the full complexity of venom's interactions within the body.
Okay.
We've talked about ion channels and neuromuscular transmission,
Right.
but those are just a couple of pieces in a much larger puzzle.
You're saying we're still just scratching the surface
Precisely.
and how these toxins really work.
The interplay between these toxins and this intricate network of biological pathways in our bodies, it's incredibly complex,
Yeah.
and that's where advances in technology, like high-throughput screening and bioinformatics, they're proving invaluable.
Okay.
These tools allow researchers to analyze the composition of venoms in much greater detail and to identify new targets for drug development.
So it's about sifting through these complex mixtures of toxins to find those hidden gems with therapeutic potential.
Exactly. And it's a process that's already yielding some very promising results.
Okay.
For example, researchers are using bioinformatics to identify specific peptides within venoms that have the potential to target cancer cells without harming healthy cells.
That's incredible. But even with these advancements, are there still concerns about the safety and effectiveness of venom-based drugs?
Sure.
I mean, we're still talking about using toxins, which inherently carry risks, right?
Of course, safety is paramount.
Yeah.
And that's another area where research is actively focused.
Okay.
One approach is to use nanotechnology to deliver these toxins in a more targeted way, minimizing their impact on healthy tissues.
So like a microscopic guided missile that delivers the toxin directly to where it's needed
You got it.
without affecting the rest of the body.
That's a game changer in terms of reducing side effects and improving the efficacy of these drugs.
It's amazing to think that we can learn so much
Yeah,
from creatures that we often fear or avoid.
it is.
Who knew that something as potentially deadly as venom could hold the key to unlocking new treatments and therapies.
It's a humbling reminder that nature holds incredible secrets.
Yeah.
And by studying and respecting the natural world, we can unlock extraordinary potential for innovation and discovery.
Right.
This research isn't just about finding new drugs.
For sure.
It's about expanding our understanding of biology, evolution, and the incredible diversity of life on our planet.
Yeah, it really is fascinating how we can just take something that evolved as like a weapon and then repurpose it for healing. It makes you wonder, like, what other untapped resources are out there in the natural world just waiting to be discovered?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because this idea of like looking to nature for medicinal inspiration,
right?
It's not new at all.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for centuries.
That's for sure.
I mean, a lot of our current drugs are actually derived from plants, fungi, even bacteria.
Oh, absolutely. Like aspirin, for example.
Yeah.
Originally came from willow bark. And penicillin, the first antibiotic.
Right.
It was discovered in a mold.
Exactly. Nature has been running its own grand experiment in drug discovery for billions of years.
Yeah.
And we're only just beginning to tap into that vast knowledge base.
So in a way, venom research is just a continuation of that long tradition of looking to nature for healing.
Right.
Except now we're dealing with a whole new level of complexity and potency.
That's a great point. What's really exciting about venom research is that incredible precision and potency of these toxins.
Right.
They've evolved to target very specific mechanisms within the body, which makes them ideal starting points for drug development.
It's like nature has already done a lot of the heavy lifting for us in terms of finding molecules that can interact with specific biological pathways.
Precisely. And as our understanding of these toxins and their interactions with the body grows, so too will our ability to harness their potential for therapeutic benefit.
You know, earlier we touched on the evolutionary arms race between predator and prey, and how that has driven the development of these like incredibly potent venoms. I'd love to like dig a little deeper into that. It's just a fascinating concept.
It really is. It's this constant back and forth, this dance of adaptation and counter-adaptation, where each side is constantly evolving these new strategies to survive. So the predator develops more potent venom. The prey evolves resistance to that venom. Which in turn puts pressure on the predator to like further refine its venom.
Wow.
So it's this never-ending cycle of one-upmanship played out over millions of years.
And it's led to this incredible diversity of venoms that we see today.
Right.
Each with its own unique set of secrets just waiting to be unlocked.
Exactly. And that's what makes venom research so compelling. It's a journey into the unknown. It's this constant exploration of nature's incredible power and complexity.
So to our listener, if something as potentially deadly as venom can be a source of healing and scientific discovery, what other unexpected places might hold the answers to the questions that plague us?
Right.
Maybe one day we'll have this whole arsenal of venom-based drugs that can treat everything from chronic pain to cancer.
Yeah.
The possibilities are truly astounding.
They are.
And as we continue to delve deeper into this field, I have no doubt that we'll uncover even more surprising and potentially life-saving applications for these remarkable toxins.
It's a testament to the fact that the world is full of wonders. Often hidden in plain sight. All we have to do is keep our minds open and be willing to explore the unexpected.
For sure.
Who knows what other incredible discoveries await us in the uncharted territories of the natural world?